Welcome to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today with Miriam Grace Edwards, who will be starring in One of the Boys, which is running at the Playground Theatre in London from the 1st to the 27th of October. How are you today?
I'm really well, thanks. How are you?
Good, yeah, really well, thank
Good.
you. Now, I was reading up about this show. It sounds brilliant. It's a great premise. I mean, lots of people will have worked in an office or do work in an office, and this centers around your character, Eve. I mean, you fill us in. Tell us all about the show.
Yeah, so Eve has been working in this company for about 12 years. She's incredibly good at what she does, and she's about to become the official CEO of the company. So she's been acting CEO for a little while, but it's all to become official. And essentially, without giving too much away, she's had to do whatever it takes to get to where she needs to be. She's kind of had to deal with a lot of misogyny and inappropriate behavior, and has almost over the course of her career had to become one of the boys in order to get to where she needs to be. And everything's going to plan. She's about to become CEO, and then somebody comes into the company, Heidi, to interview for the role of Director of Change Management. And things start to go slightly awry when this young woman is put into the company to kind of research what's going on behind the scenes, what's the culture of the company like. Things start to unravel from there.
Okay, sounds brilliant. So I'm assuming you're in the rehearsal process at the moment.
We
Yeah,
are, yeah, we've just
yeah. How's
finished.
it all going?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, we're working with Lydia McKinley, who's our director, who's fantastic. So it's been a kind of a lot of picking apart of the scenes, obviously the staging of the show, but also getting to grips with the script and trying to find out what's not being said. So we've got the lines in front of us, but what's going on underneath the surface and what are the characters really thinking? They might have a mask on
Mm.
when they're having these conversations. So trying to kind of really get to the heart of the piece.
Sure. And I mean, when you read the script initially, did you have sort of a vision of how you wanted to play Eve?
Yeah, I think Tim's writing, it's so clear who these characters are from the offset, which is great. So you can really kind of imagine them in the workplace. And I think with shows like Succession and
Mm.
that people are quite interested in and the I guess The Apprentice as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, you can kind of imagine these characters straight away. And Eve to me just jumped out as this woman that had kind of had to play a game
Mm.
and almost had to put what she really believed to one side at quite a young age to go, right, how do I make it? And if I call out this kind of behavior, maybe I won't make it. So maybe I need to change and kind of put a mask on, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important story because this still happens now.
Yeah.
So, people will probably resonate with it and have probably been in that situation. I mean, what do you think people will ultimately get from the show?
I think there's so much in any industry. I mean, this is very much in the corporate world,
Mm.
uh, but in any industry, there's so much that we get used to. I think that we don't even realize is happening
Yeah.
until it's kind of called out. And I think to give audiences the chance to go, oh yeah, I've experienced that, or maybe even I've done that, and I
Mm.
didn't think it was a problem, or the kind of micro aggressions that might happen where and they happen continuously. So for the person may be saying something, they don't realize that that person maybe has heard it 15 times already today.
Mm.
So it's things like that. And I really think it's going to put a bit of a spotlight on what we're dealing with every single day in most workplaces.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's really going to challenge people to kind of ask themselves, well, how do we go about changing this? How can we change the system and how things work?
Yeah, sure. I mean, with regards to sort of learning a new part, what's your process for learning your lines? I'm always fascinated with that because I've got a really bad memory. So I think is it sort of a repetition thing? Is that how you do it, or do you practice with somebody?
Yeah, repetition definitely helps. And I think we're very lucky in the room with Lydia, kind of where we're repeating, we're running and running and running. But I also think what I said earlier about what is the character not saying?
Mm,
So the kind of what's underneath the lines, what's the thought when you're having the line?
yeah,
And also very much listening. So I think a lot of the learning comes with listening to what the other actor is saying to you,
yeah.
and then the response feels then quite, natural, and you go, yeah, that you kind of
Mm,
almost learn from their cue in a way.
sure. And what is the rehearsal process? Sort of how long is it for you?
So it's quite a short rehearsal process, this one.
Okay.
We've got 3 weeks, and then we
Okay.
have a couple of days of tech, and then we're open, so it's
Yeah.
very quick.
Yeah. And how do you feel sort of opening night with any show that you've perhaps done in the past? How do you feel on that opening night?
It never gets any less petrifying.
Yeah.
I think because you work on these things and everybody gives everything, and it's the whole team. The actors are kind of the final part of the process, really. But
Yeah.
Tim's obviously been writing this for a long time, and then the production team will all. So there's so much riding on it, and everybody cares about it, and you put so much in and so much care and attention and passion into it. So when you then come to show it in front of people, you're kind of like, we have no idea what they'll make of it.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but it's also really exciting and really fun, because as the run goes on, you find things and you
Mm.
suddenly go, oh, maybe that's what she thinks about that. Or, so
Yeah.
it's kind of starting out on a journey a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose, as you say, you can never tell until you get an audience reaction because obviously everybody in the room is working on it and together. So you find,
Exactly.
find it great as it is, but obviously audience members have lots of differing opinions. So yeah, you need to
Yes.
get it
Yeah.
in front of an audience. And so your career, Miriam, I mean, I was reading about you and you've done sort of a fair bit of Shakespeare in your time.
Yeah.
How was that? I mean, that must be really quite hard to learn Shakespeare.
Yeah, I think again, I was petrified of
Yeah.
Shakespeare growing up, and I just thought, well, that's not for me. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I was recently in a production of Romeo and Juliet, where it was set in 2024, and it was
Oh,
very current, and it was looking at knife crime and gang violence,
okay.
and I played the nurse, but we had her as a paramedic. So
Oh,
it was very modern. And again, like learning it, it came down to, well, who is this person?
mm,
She's the person right now. And what does she want? And what does she care about? And what's her weak spot? And what gets her kind of blood boiling, or
mm,
all of those things, like you create any character. I think it's exactly the same for Shakespeare, and that's why it's so brilliant, is that it's just as relevant now as it was all those hundreds of years ago.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's a similar process in getting to know your character, and the lines are kind of, they're there for you to work with, and but you dig in and you go, well, what are they not
Mm.
saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, did you have you always wanted to be a performer? Did you have formal training when you were younger?
I didn't train. But
Okay.
I've always wanted to be an actor from day one.
Yeah.
There's kind of pictures of me and my brother, like old photos, where my brother, who's quite shy, and he went on to be an engineer, so
Yeah.
complete opposites. But
Yeah.
I'm like on the table with my teddies doing a show, and my brother's there with a little torch doing the
Yeah.
lighting. So yeah, it's always been the only thing that I've ever wanted to do, really.
Yeah. And is there anything sort of in your career that you would absolutely love to do? Is there a show or a play out there that you would really love to do?
Well, my absolute passion actually is new writing.
Hmm.
I just think it's so exciting to pick up a script and nobody's ever
Yeah.
played these characters before. Whereas, when you're doing a Shakespeare, there's quite a lot of pressure
Mm.
because
Yeah.
hundreds of people have done that role, and you go, is there a right way to do it? And
Sure.
there isn't a right way to do it, but with new writing, it's you get to develop it in the room, and I find that so exciting. So I think more new writing I would love to do, and I think if it was a classic, a classical piece, I would love to play Lady Macbeth at some
Ah,
point.
Okay, yes, very classic. And another Shakespeare for you there. So, I mean, I'll put on the next slide where people can get their tickets for this show. It does sound brilliant. So, if you could sell it to our audience here, why should they come and see one of the boys?
Well, I think it ticks a lot of boxes. It raises a lot of awareness about things. It's funny. It's really moving in places, and we've been finding a lot of stuff in rehearsals about actually these are real people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really gets you in a lot of moments. And it's just a really exciting, energetic, kind of paced piece of theatre. It's also, we don't have an interval,
Okay.
so it's one of them where you can watch the show and then get to that bar,
I love a straight
and
through
then
show.
come and
Yeah.
yeah, we love it, we love it.
Yeah.
So come and have a chat with us afterwards as well.
Oh, lovely. That's nice. Yeah, nice for you to chat to all the audience because it's great for you, I guess, as performers to get an instant reaction, I would think.
Definitely, and let's face it, we love heading to that bar. So
Don't blame you. Yeah, well, have the best time. I really hope it goes well from the 1st to the 27th of October. But as I mentioned, I will put the details on the next slide. Thank you for your time
thank you so
and
much for
all the
having
best
me.
with it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
And you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Power, misogyny, sexism, the rat race.
It's something which needs more exposure and it needs action.
One of the boys is the story of Eve, who is about to become the CEO of a big corporate firm. She's played the game her whole career and done whatever it takes to get to where she needs to be.
It's about the very corrosive culture of toxic masculinity in a corporate setting. Really, Eve's journey, he's actively complicit within that toxic culture.
Very cut and thrust, run by men for men.
I think I would compare it to Succession or Mad Men. People want to see that cutthroat environment, and it's not actually about the work you're doing, it's about the behaviour that exists in those walls.
Looking at research that we did, there's a lot of stories of bullying, harassment, things that get brushed under the carpet because one of the boys was in charge.
It looks at the way women have to compete against other women within business and how there seems to be not enough room at the top for all of them.
In 2024, it does feel like this is reality. So I think it's important people are given an opportunity to stop for a minute and sit down for an hour or so and watch something and go, oh yeah, this is a thing that happens. What can we do about it?
Everyone will have a different reaction to it depending on their own experiences. At the end, you walk out and go, well, who was in the wrong?
For the ending alone, it's worth the price of admission.
Hit that,
Hit that book button
now. Immediately.
Exactly.